Have you ever found yourself saying yes to something you absolutely did not want to do? Yeah, that's people pleasing. It's this habit that's so sneaky, most of us don't even realize we're doing it. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the psychology behind why we so often put ourselves last.
You know that feeling, right? Someone asks for a favor, and before your brain even has a chance to catch up, yes just flies out of your mouth. It feels automatic, almost like a reflex. And that right there, that's the heart of what we're digging into today.
All right, let's break this down. The most important word on this entire slide is unintentional. This isn't about consciously deciding you want to help. Nope. This is a deep, ingrained pattern. It's a habit that's all about trying to get approval, or maybe more often, just trying to avoid a fight. And the kicker? It almost always costs you something.
So what does this actually look like? In the real world, in our emails, at work, with our friends. Let's get into the telltale signs. And as we go, see which of these, if any, feel a little too familiar.
First on the list is something I call the apology reflex. This is that knee-jerk, automatic impulse to say I'm sorry for things that don't need an apology at all.
And what's so wild is how these things just hide in plain sight in our everyday conversations. I mean, think about it. Saying sorry when someone else bumps into you? Or apologizing before you even ask a question? And listen for those little softening words we use, like just or quickly. It's our way of trying to shrink ourselves so we don't feel like we're being a bother.
I mean, listen to this sentence. It is a perfect example. It's practically dripping with apologies and minimizing words. You've got so sorry, is it okay, just, and quick. Every single one of those words is there to make the speaker seem smaller and less demanding.
But look, this isn't just about the words we choose to say out loud. People-pleasing carries a really significant emotional weight. This is about how it feels on the inside, the internal toll it takes.
And this is where it really gets draining. When you feel like it's your job to manage everybody else's happiness, your own emotional battery just gets totally wiped out. You say yes to get rid of the anxiety in that moment, but what follows? Usually it's this wave of resentment or just pure exhaustion. And that feeling of guilt when you even think about saying no, man, it can be absolutely crushing.
Okay, this is so important, we have to make this distinction crystal clear. People-pleasing is not the same thing as kindness, not even close. Real, genuine kindness comes from a place of abundance. It's a choice, and honestly, it feels good. It energizes you. People-pleasing now, that feels like something you have to do. It comes from a place of fear, and it will always, always leave you feeling drained.
All right, so we've seen what it looks like and what it feels like. But the big question is, why? Why do we do this? Let's peel back another layer and look at the engine that's really driving this whole autopilot system. Well, it pretty much boils down to a few really powerful, really human fears. The biggest piece of the pie here is the fear of rejection. That deep, nagging worry that if you say no, you won't be liked, you won't belong. Right behind that is avoiding conflict at all costs. We'd rather silently stew in our own resentment than risk having a tough conversation. And underneath all of that, you often find low self-worth. Or maybe it's just a pattern we picked up a long, long time ago. And this cycle right here, this is what makes the habit so incredibly hard to break. It starts with a request, simple enough. But then, boom, anxiety hits. You feel that fear of disapproval. So what do? You say yes automatically because it makes that awful feeling go away, and you get this little hit of relief. But here's the trap. That relief is a reward. Your brain learns a very simple lesson. Saying yes gets rid of the bad feeling. And so the next time it happens, you're even more likely to do it again. It just locks you deeper into the loop.
So, after hearing all that, you might be wondering, what on earth can we do about it? Well, here's the most powerful part of this whole thing. The very first step isn't about trying to fix everything overnight. It's not a cure. It's just about getting some clarity.
And that, truly, is the whole game. The goal here isn't to suddenly become perfect at setting boundaries. No way. The win, the real victory, is just noticing when you're doing it. That one moment where you catch yourself and you think, oh, there I go with that apology reflex, or wow, I feel so guilty for wanting to say no right now. That is the moment where change actually starts. That awareness, it's everything.
Because that one single act of just noticing, that is the most powerful first step you can possibly take. It's like tipping the first domino. When you understand why you just said yes on autopilot, you interrupt that whole cycle we just looked at. You break out of the habit loop, and you create this tiny little bit of space between the request and your response. And right there, in that little bit of space,
That's where you find choice. So I'll leave you with this to think about. Just imagine all the energy you spend right now worrying about what other people think, feeling guilty, or doing things you don't really want to do. Now, what if you could reclaim just a little bit of that? What could you build? What could you create? What could you just enjoy? Thanks for diving into this with me.